Rain-induced traffic in Accra yesterday.
Oh, yes.
There was rain-induced traffic in Accra. Some cars broke down. In fact, apparently there are some communities who have WhatsApp groups purely on traffic updates. So apparently yesterday, one of my friends was going and said, they said, don't use the middle lane because you go car, so go use on other side.
Yeah, that's good.
So there was a lot of traffic.
Gotten to.
Yes, so he said, they say if you are going, don't pass the main road. Go and pass Pokwase and turn through some Kwabenya corners. Yeah, he got home like 11 p.m.
Wow.
Anyway, what are the people saying?
Well, the Daily Graphic has a number of things on its front page. Let's start off with the Finance Minister's presentation to Parliament. It says government to spend 27.4 billion cedis, and that covers up to March 2021. MDA's debts owed VRA cleared, and Graphic launches Ashanti Regional Spotlight today. Honest Kofi Bedu.
All right. The Ghanaian Times also has the budget story. Budget for Q1 2021. Government requests 27.4 billion Ghana cedis. Also, President condemns NPP NDC violent clash at Odododiodo. A book on coronavirus has been launched and will resort to smart, responsible borrowing to address unsustainable debt regime. That's NDC.
The Daily Guide says police invite two candidates. Police invite two Odododio candidates. Information Minister shreds Ghana US election forecast. Government requests 27.4 billion cedis in post-election budget. Government lauds VRA's effort, and don't underrate COVID-19. That's according to Bishop Dr. Charles Aban.
The Chronicle, HIPIC. Economic mismanagement are behind us, Oforiatta tells Parliament. Reduce take or pay burden on economy, Osafo Mafo urges VRA. And the same VRA has launched their 60th anniversary. VRA is 60 years old.
Wow.
Fraudster impersonates Kofi Boache to put up a story building.
Wow.
Can you imagine? That's on the front page of the Chronicle.
The Daily Statesman says, no turning back. Ken Oforiatta urges Ghanaians to reject incompetent leaders. Akufo-Addo has cleared 2.6 billion cedi Mahama debt to VRA. That's according to Osafo Mafo. Ghana and US 2020 elections have no similarities. And there's a picture of the Information Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, there. And Ewutu Senya NDC chairman executives defect to MPP.
The New Crusading Guide also has that story about the defection. NDC chairman, 99 executives defect to MPP. Finance Minister cracks Mahama, says HIPIC is behind us, no turning back. Paul Chumberima lauds Akufo-Addo. You can read more about that in the New Crusading Guide.
The Daily Heritage says school owners, parents applaud NDC for plans to include private schools in free SHS. Prom Beach to go high-tech to attract tourists, Nene Bantama IV assures. Don't look for instant gains, Reverend Ismaila advises Ghanaian youth. And social media attacks on churches demoralizing. That's according to Bishop Taki Yaboy.
ABC News. Obechabi Lamte interchange 92% complete. Creating equal opportunities. Baumia questions Mahama. NDC wishing HIPIC on Ghana again, says Ufuriata. All right, those are the front page stories there.
Okay, and the BNFT says VRA looks to digitization, electric vehicles for future growth as it launches 60th anniversary. Government confirms takeover of Airtel Tigo. Oforiatta asks for 27 billion cedis financing, or 27 billion CD financing for 2021 Q1 budget. Plans to borrow up to $5 billion from the bond market and pins economy's future on 100 billion cedi Ghana cares.
The Business Finder. Government targets 5.7% growth. Support us to excel under AFCFTA, says the AGI, so the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreements. The Association of Ghana Industries wants support. Boost for Planting for Food and Jobs Initiative. Read more about that in Business Finder.
Let's take you online, citynewsroom.com. Charges on power deals reduced by 30% after renegotiation. This is John Peter Amewu. He also says, I have no hand in secessionist group. This is from yesterday's interviews. Meanwhile, police invite side scenario over claims he distributed weapons to cause chaos. And stop dragging my office into partisan politics. Martin Amidu wants. Other stories. Mahama was right. Ghana's debt has crossed HIPIC proportions. This is NDC. And incumbency won't guarantee victory for MPP. This is Ricketts Hagan. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, the lead stories from Parliament. Finance Ministry got 50 bills passed by Parliament within 4 years. This is Ken Oforiatta. Also, government seeks approval to issue $5 billion sovereign bond. Meanwhile, he says HIPIC is behind us. There's no turning back. In other stories, Stanbic board appoints Kwamina Asumening as CEO of Stanbic as Al-Hassan and Dani retires. If you go to my journal online, the lead story there, Ghana to ban or minimize rice importation by 90% by 2023. This is Kennedy Osenyako. Other stories, PPP flag bearer begins Greater Accra regional tour today. Okay. So that'll be 3 candidates touring Accra in the same week. Also, government will invest in affordable housing projects in 2021. This is Finance Minister. Meanwhile, Asesewa ECG staff chased out of office by MPP supporters over alleged sabotage. And Akufo-Addo Bawumia celebrate Damba with the people of Mamprugu. If you go to Star FM, we will build a just, inclusive society. Nana Jane Poko Ajiman. Also, don't drag me into your politics. Amidu to Mahama. Mahama says youth unemployment is a national security threat. And Opon Kroma says there are no similarities between 2020 US Ghana elections. You know, people want to make those connections. GNA. VRA commended for excellence in engineering practice. Also, Finance Minister projects strong economy for Ghana from 2021, and government expects growth to rebound to 5.7% next year. Let's go global. BBC, lockdowns return as Europe confronts second wave of guess what?
Coronavirus.
Meanwhile, nearly 100,000 are catching the virus every day in England. 100,000. Meanwhile, Trump slams lockdowns and Biden accuses him of insult. This is US elections. That's the same kind of story in the CNN. And then, of course, we will come back to Ghana to begin with the details of Finance Minister's presentation.
Well, if you go to the Daily Graphics front page, and it says the government has projected to spend 27.4 billion cedis in the first 3 months of next year. The amount is to be used to run the country between January and March 2021. Pending the presentation of a full budget later that quarter. It will finance key expenditure items such as debt service, compensation of public sector employees, and the activities of key government agencies prior to the drawing up of a full budget for the year in March. Now, out of the projected amount for the period, 3.77 billion will be spent on arrears clearance and debt amortization, while the remainder will be spent on employee compensation and other critical expenditure items. So that's on the front page.
Other headlines from yesterday.
Yeah, so the Chronicle also talks about the finance minister. HIPIC economic mismanagement are behind us. So he also rejected claims on social media that Ghana will soon return to the highly indebted poor country program, also known as HIPIC. He says Ghana will not wear the HIPIC tag because HIPIC, as well as economic mismanagement, is behind us. He said it was ironic that those who took Ghana into HIPIC and were lucky to have been delivered by sound economic management of the NPP were the same people wishing that the country goes back. So he cautioned us to be careful about people who talk about HIPIC and that it's totally false. He says there's no turning back.
Well, one of such people is the NDC's communication officer. Story says Mama was right. Ghana's debt has crossed HIPIC proportions. So now HIPIC is not a program, it's an adjective. NDC is insisting that Ghana has the features of a highly indebted poor country, even if it's not officially been classified as one. Quote, we want to reiterate the assertion by our flag bearer, John Mahama, that President Akufo-Addo has supervised the degeneration of Ghana's economy back to the same unsustainable debt position we were when we joined the HIPIC program 19 years ago. The party said at a press conference yesterday. Now, still from yesterday's event, a couple of stories for your interest. Finance Ministry got 50 bills passed by Parliament within 4 years. That's incredible. Minister of Finance, Kenneth Ofori-Atta, says his outfit was able to produce 50 bills since 2017, which were all passed by law into Parliament. Ofori-Atta disclosed this when he presented the 2021 expenditure in advance of appropriation statement to Parliament. Quote, together with this Parliament, Ministry of Finance alone has passed more than 50 bills into law in the last 4 years. I and all the team at the ministry humbly thank you, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, for this. Now, some of the laws are the Tax Amnesty Act 2017, Customs Amendment Bill 2020, the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Bill 2017, Payment System and Services Act, among others. Still from yesterday, he is seeking parliamentary approval to issue $5 billion sovereign bond. Finance Minister is seeking Parliament's approval to continue to raise funds from the international capital market to fund the 2021 budget and liability management. According to him, the funds will comprise the issuance of sovereign bonds of $3 billion with an option to increase it to $5 billion should market conditions prove favorable. there's a quote there attributed to him while he made the point. Now, the 2021 planned bond issuance comes after government went to the Eurobond market in November last year to borrow $3 billion to help the government bridge the deficit between its revenue and expenditure in 2020. Ghana first went to the international capital market in 2007 to raise bonds to support the budget, and then we've been going there very often after that. We went for $750 million in a Eurobond, and then we went for other bonds between 2013 and 2016.
Okay, if you go to page 16 of the Daily Graphic, there's some VRA news there. Remember, they are 60 years, but there are some other things on their plate. Now, government has cleared the 2.6 billion CD arrears owed the Volta River authorities by ministries, departments, and agencies since 2016.
Okay.
In addition, it has a credit balance of 500 million cedis in respect of MDA bills.
All right.
Now, the senior minister, Yao Safo-Mafo, said this in Accra yesterday when he launched the 60th anniversary of the country's largest and oldest power generator. The celebration, which is on the theme, quote, celebrating 60 years in the power business, end quote, will be climaxed on April 26 next
So it's a 6-month celebration. Well, still in the power sector, quickly, charges on power deals reduced by 30% after renegotiations. This is John Peter Amewu, Minister for Energy. Peter Amewu says that Akufo-Addo administration renegotiated power deals and reduced charges by 30%. Among the renegotiated agreements are the car power and the ASCA deals. In all these negotiations we've been able to reduce charges by about 30%. Several amounts of money have been saved as a result of these negotiations, he said on the Point of View last night. This notwithstanding, the minister said Ghana still had excess capacity to deal with, and then he says our installed capacity is over 5,000 megawatts, double the peak amount of about 2,700 megawatts. Kokwi.
All right, the back page of the Ghanaian Times, the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, or GHCCI, remember we've been talking about this, they've given a 14-day ultimatum to government to pay 1.8 billion Ghana cedis owed them by the Ghana Road Fund for works done by road contractors, consultants, and suppliers. The CEO of the organization, in an interview with the Times in Accra yesterday, cautioned that the chamber should not be blamed or held responsible for any consequences if the government, through its agencies, fail to address the outstanding payments immediately. He says we will not be responsible for any brouhaha or threats of demonstration or other forms of venting of displeasure by contractors, consultants, and suppliers. In an earlier statement, they continued to appeal to all the aggrieved and affected contractors, consultants, and suppliers, trades and artisanal associations, etc., to remain calm as leadership work to resolve the issue. But it looks like their patience is running out, Bernard.
That story came yesterday. There's a follow-up on that. Let's come back to the Daily Guide.
If you go to the Daily Guide on its front page, it says police invite 2 Ododo candidates. And the Greater Accra Regional Police Command has invited the NDC Member of Parliament for Ododo, Edwin Lante Vanderpoy, and his rival, MPP's Ni Lante Bannerman, to assist them to investigate last Saturday's election-related violence. It was Sunday, actually.
Yes.
The Accra Police spokesperson, DSP Efiatenge, told Daily Guide yesterday that the invitation was extended to the leading figures in the constituency on Monday. She said even though there was no time frame for them to report, Nilante Bannerman, who doubles as the national chairman of the Premixed Fuel Secretariat at the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture, told the police to give him some time since the president was visiting the place last Tuesday.
Okay. Now, speaking of invitations, police has also invited Said Sinari over claims he distributed weapons to cause chaos. This is citinewsroom.com. National Vice Chairman of NDC, Alhaji Said Sinari, has denied culpability in an alleged plot to arm people with weapons to cause chaos during the December 2020 polls. The story is December 2016. The NDC stalwart is to report to the police on Thursday after the NDC constituency chairman of Ayawaso North reportedly confessed to police that Alhaji Sinari had supplied guns to some youth to cause chaos in the upcoming polls. According to Mr. Sinari, the allegations against him are false and he's certain that he will be exonerated. He told Citi News that the actions of the constituency chairman, who has been his employee for 8 years, may be as a result of anger after he fired him about a month ago. Okay, back to the Times.
Yeah, there's a couple of interest stories here, if you'd allow me, Bernard. I'll summarize them quickly for you.
Yeah.
So the impact of COVID-19 on female students and the way forward. Now, I'll give you a few numbers, okay, about girls who have gotten pregnant during this. You've been talking about this in the past.
Wow.
And the focus has been on the Upper East region. It's going on across the country. But in this particular article, they looked at what's happening in the Upper East region. In the just ended WASI exam, 26 of the girls who wrote were pregnant in that region. In the BEC, 105 got married as well. In a certain district there, Kasana West, you had 43 pregnancies in Wasi. Out of 898 girls who registered, 21 were pregnant, 11 were nursing mothers, 14 didn't show up to write. Girls within the age brackets of 12 to 13 are also getting pregnant. And they're saying that this is also, it's not specific to that region, it's across the country.
And are they tying it to the COVID situation?
They are. The fact that they haven't been in school regularly and the fact that a lot of them are going to drop out and probably not go back. Then we have this story on the center spread about 327,600 abortions were recorded in 2017. Yes, 327,600 abortions were recorded in 2017. This was research conducted by the Guttmacher Institute in collaboration with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and Johns Hopkins University. They conducted this over a 6-week period spanning April and May in 2018, sampled over 4,000 women, led them to the conclusions that they came up with. And the alarming part of it is that most of the abortions that were recorded were done illegally because there's still a lot of awareness.
How come on our website the story says 200,000 abortions were recorded in Ghana in 2017?
Wow. And this one says 327,600.
We need to do some reconciliation there. Now, if you go to my journal line, there's an interesting one. The Ghana to ban or minimum rice importation by 90% by 2023. This is Deputy Minister for Agri Kennedy Oseinyako, who's also MP for Akim Swedru. He said that by the year 2023, government would have either banned or drastically reduced the importation of rice into the country by 90%. According to him, under the current government's planting for food and jobs policy, the country produces about 50% of rice consumed in the country, which is projected to increase significantly as the years progress. Speaking on Joy News PM Express manifesto tracker, Kennedy Oseinyako said the MPP has performed better in Ghana's agri sector, specifically in rice production in comparison with their predecessor. And of course, the NDC spokesperson on Agric, Michael Harryamson, who was also a guest on the show, was quick to point out that the gains of the MPP government planting for food and jobs was a result of the seeds that had been sown earlier on in the administration. Okay, so somebody planted, Apollo's watered, but something else gave the increase.
Okay, let's do some crime-related stories. And on pages 10 and 11 of the Daily Guide, there are some stories there. So the first one is in Kumasi. Now, Scorpion in court, another declared wanted. Audu Sule, aka Scorpion, an NDC activist in Kumasi, on Tuesday made his maiden appearance in court. He was part of the 10 people who were arrested at Abuabo on Saturday evening during a swoop. The remaining 9 had been granted police inquiry.
So it's not a scorpion as in scorpion, right? Human being scorpion.
Yeah, scorpion, yeah.
Okay.
And then on page 11, Eric Wombat from Wulugu reports that 3 suspected armed robbers are in the grips of the Wale Divisional Police Command for robbing passengers at Wulugu in the West Mampusi municipality of the Northeast region. The suspects are Bugri Karim, Inusa Delali, and Sumaila Kadri. According to the police, on October 26, 2020 at about 1 p.m., one Abubakar Abdul Wakil...
1 p.m.?
Yes.
Hot afternoon?
Yes. He reported that he was in charge of a Nissan van that had 14 passengers traveling from Tamale to Bolga, and then they got to a place where these men appeared. They were armed, and then they asked the passengers to lie down.
1 p.m. in the afternoon.
Very brazen, isn't it?
Hey!
All right, very quickly, Bernard, regarding the abortion numbers. So the 200,000 you mentioned were the illegal ones.
Okay.
So the total number was 327,600.
Total.
200,000 of those
were
done illegally. Yeah.
All right, let me give you something. Yes. Asasewa ECG staff chased out of office by MPP supporters over alleged sabotage. It's an incredible story. Some angry members of the MPP at Asasewa in the Eastern region have chased out the staff of the ECG and locked the offices. They accuse the company of intentionally cutting power supply just when the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was about to address a campaign rally at the Asasewa market on Tuesday evening. The irate members besieged the ECG premises and ordered the workers to vacate their office because they suspected the workers were on a mission to sabotage the MPP campaign in the area. A worker who spoke to Joy News said they dragged them from their office onto the compound and locked the main entrance. He narrated that the stranded workers had to scale the walls, leaving behind their vehicles and other provisions before they could go home. Explaining what led to the power cut, the worker who pleaded anonymity said the Asasewa district has its source of power distribution from a substation at Achimtafo. Hence, the Asasewa office could not have deliberately interrupted power supply when Dr. Bawumia was built to address his party. He said that a team had to trace the source of the power cut to Boti, where a tree branch had fallen on the main distribution cable. According to him, even though the challenge was immediately rectified after the vice president left, some communities are yet to have power restored. A leading member of the NPP in the Upper Manya Krobo constituency, Philip Mamfe, however, disagreed with the explanation of the ECG. Can you imagine? He had the boldness to even speak to the media. According to him, the act to cut power supply anytime the NPP holds a rally has become one too many. As for electricity, there can be emergency outage most of the time. But this is not the first time it's happening in the Upper Manya. In 2012, the same thing happened. And 2020, it happened again. And so the community and our people have suspected that there is a deliberate act to make our party unpopular and disrupt the program. And this is unfair. When contacted, Eastern Regional PR of ECG Merishan confirmed the locking of the offices. The ECG staff have since reported the case to Asasaba Police. Politics. Politics.
Okay.
They should arrest those guys. Why do you do this?
Why? Well, the Business Finder, the AGI is speaking. Industries in Ghana are ready for the African Continental Free Trade Area, and they will excel if given the necessary support. This is coming from the AGI. The association is urging government and stakeholders to support businesses to build their capacity and to enhance and improve the quality of products and services they offer. All right. Now, the CEO of AGI, Mr. Seth Chuma Kwabwa, says strategy should be in place to use the time to adequately prepare businesses and their products for competition. In 5 years, when there's liberalization, we should have positioned our companies to the level where they can be competitive. Because even though Ghana will have the opportunity to export goods and services, our market will also be open to competition from other products.
All right, anymore. I have a couple of international stories here. The BBC says nearly 100,000 people are catching COVID-19 in England every day. Story by James Gallagher. And it says that nearly 100,000 people are catching coronavirus every day in England. A major analysis suggests. The study by Imperial College London says the pace of the epidemic is accelerating and estimates the number of people infected is now doubling every 9 days. The authors say we are at, quote, a critical stage and something has to change. Now, still on that website, it now tells us that lockdowns return to Europe as the continent confronts a second wave. Two of Europe's biggest economies are reinstating some form of national lockdown as the continent confronts a surge of coronavirus cases and deaths. From Friday, people in France will only be allowed to leave home for essential work or medical reasons. President Emmanuel Macron said the country risks being overwhelmed by a second wave that will no doubt be harder than the first. Germany, meanwhile, is imposing a soft national lockdown. The measures coming into force on Monday are less severe than in France, but they include the closure of restaurants, bars, gyms, and theaters. Meanwhile, in the US, they are arguing over this. Trump slams lockdowns. Biden accusing him of insulting victims. President Donald Trump has urged states to shun lockdowns. As his Democratic rival Joe Biden said the pandemic could not be stopped by flipping a switch. Continuing a whirlwind schedule of rallies in battleground states, Mr. Trump also mocked the mask mandates. Mr. Biden said Mr. Trump's handling of America's worsening coronavirus crisis was an insult to the victims. They vote on November the 3rd.
Meanwhile, a statement came from the White House touting curbing the coronavirus pandemic as one of their achievements, that Trump has dealt with COVID. Yes.
Meanwhile, the Democrat, Mr. Biden, has held a solid national lead over the Republican president 6 days before the poll, but Mr. Biden's advantage is narrower in the handful of U.S. states that could vote either way and ultimately decide who wins the White House. I speak to my American friends and they say, don't be surprised if Trump still wins.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. This is the same thing that happened in 2016. The polls made it look like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, but they are saying the polls, they've improved their
That's
work.
what they're saying.
Charlie,
that's what they're
Trump
saying. Charlie,
yes.
the swing states and the rural areas, you've got to watch out.
Trump is a big man.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we'll come back with more insights into the issues, but for now, we thank Kukui and Nathan. Coming up next is the Citi Business News. Stay with us.
On every street, in every town, and all across Ghana, everyone has goals. What's your goal?
I want to expand my business in the next year.
I want to own my own house in 5 years.
I want to invest and grow my
I
wealth.
want to plan for my wedding.
Fidelity Bank understands that individually we are strong, but together we can do more. From Kukwa